So for this second video, I wanted to I had an idea and I wrote a script for it. I recorded a bit of it, but I realized and I felt that I was very stiff. I wasn't speaking very naturally. I felt very forced and I didn't feel like it was very enjoyable to actually watch. So this is a different video and I might actually touch on the first video I was recording and actually planning on uploading. But for this video, I wanted to touch on something a bit personal to me, and that is my freelance career as a music and culture writer. So this video, as you can tell by the title, is how I actually started freelancing, and hopefully you guys can get a few tips. Maybe I've been asked a lot about it, both in person and online, about how I started freelancing in this category or bracket or whatever you call it. First of all, I started my blog, klhwriting.com, back in, I think it was 2016, about halfway through my final year of high school, and the writing wasn't very good at all, but it was personal. It was like poems, short stories, stuff like that I only wanted to upload for me to read. So I started university the following year, studying journalism, and I started getting some ideas of what I wanted to write about. So I started focusing on content that an audience would actually want to read. So it was both journalism assignments that I'd upload on there, so like local news stories, stuff like that. And then it went to topics where I could focus on a bigger audience. So like I focused on the YouTube apocalypse, for example. That was a really well received story. But it wasn't until about September of 2017 where I interviewed my first talent, and she was a model, and I basically covered her story. She was battling cancer, and immediately positive reception on that, and the scale of reception, I was very surprised. But that made me realize I really enjoy interviewing people, getting their stories in this kind of underground kind of category. And it wasn't just underground music at that time, but I was listening to underground music. My friends, which is producer Don't Sleep, he goes by Prod Don't Sleep, and producer and artist Jules. Sorry for pausing the video, but what is wrong with his foot? I was going to be nice and I was just going to ignore it, but what? So they started introducing me to a lot of people inside the underground music scene, because obviously they were working with them, collaborating with them, just communicating with them pretty much. And they noticed that I really enjoyed interviewing people in the underground. So they got me to meet all these new people. A lot of them you guys might know if you're in the underground. People like Baby Goyard or Lil Zelly. They're two people that I interviewed right at the beginning. And then after a while, I was interviewing all these new people that I really enjoyed their work. And then halfway through 2018, I actually started up on Fiverr and Upwork, which I know people criticize both of those platforms. Those criticisms do have validity, but I was doing well on it. I was enjoying myself. I was getting a few clients, and I was getting introduced to this new lifestyle where I could actually work and make money without leaving my room. Also during this time, I was applying to jobs in person, both in the previous year in 2017 as well as 2018. But freelance started to pick up, and it wasn't to the point where I was making a lot of money. It was just little change here, little change there, enough to let me do activities that I wanted, like go to the movies. Or end of 2018, I also started up my podcast, which is Dark Rose Podcast, by the way. And I was interviewing talent that I was interviewing on my blog, but I was also expanding it to my podcast. So I was doing both. It was a lot of fun doing radio broadcast, that kind of style of journalism, as well as written journalism as well. But it wasn't till 2019 when I realized I actually want to be doing something bigger with my career. Studying at university was giving me the motivation as well as the confidence to actually put myself out there. So with my blog, I made it look more professional, changed the theme of it, made it just look as presentable as possible. I hopped on LinkedIn, all those social medias. I had Twitter and such, but I made it look a bit more professional while also keeping my real personality on it so it doesn't seem as forced. So I was trying to be myself while also a little bit professional, but still myself where everyone inside the underground music community knows me as. So I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn, connecting, building up relationships, and with my blog, I then started pitching to platforms or publications that I wanted to write for. So I would show the different platforms that I'd already written for with my portfolio. Back in 2018, I was writing for different platforms. So I put that in my emails when I was pitching. I said, hey, this is who I've written for. Here's my portfolio, linked it back to my blog. And this is the type of story I want to do. This is who I want to interview. This many words, this angle. What do you think? I wasn't getting many responses at the beginning. Then over time, I started getting responses. I believe because I actually started pitching myself better. Because when you look at it, you only get a few seconds to capture the editor's eyes. So you need to make it as to the point and original as possible. And you also, this is something that I learned, always follow up. And I don't mean like the day after or the day after that, because that's probably going to get you blocked from the editor's email. So don't do that. Follow up. I always send a follow-up email about 10 to 12 days after, and then I do it again and again. Max of 3 follow-ups. If I don't hear anything after that, then I move on. Or if it's a timely piece, then I let the editor know. If I don't hear anything back by this date, then I'm going to take the story elsewhere. That way the editor doesn't send me an email a month later, be like, hey, is this story still available? And then I say no, and they get disappointed. So then I started getting responses, and I started writing for publications that I love, both local and international. That's pretty much my story. I know it's very simple and it's not very entertaining or whatever, but I promise you that condensed version within the actual version. It's a lot of nights of staying up, doing research, not sleeping much because I'm trying to figure out different publications to write for, finding editors to reach out to, just finding the next paycheck, because freelancing, it's very stressful, trying to find the next paycheck or the next client. Yeah, but I'm happy that things are starting to slowly work out for me. Hope that inspires you guys a little bit or gives you a bit of a direction to follow. Now with my podcast and with my career, I've actually interviewed some people that I am big fans of, and I don't believe I would have gotten the opportunity to actually contact people. So I've interviewed some of my favorite underground musicians, for example 50 Grand of Team Sesh or Smart Death, even Slug Christ, who he's been an underground pioneer for many years. One of my favorite producers, which is Fox Wedding, which was just surreal. So my point is, if you want freelancing to work out, you've got to step out of your comfort zone, and it's a lot easier said than done. But trust me, it is worth it. And if freelancing is something that you want to work out, you will put everything into it. So best of luck. Let me know down below what you guys want me to cover next. Either a personal story or tips or something. Because I find when I'm not speaking with a script, I'm much more fluent and natural. So yeah, just let me know what you guys want now. Anyways, hope you guys have a great rest of the day or night or whatever. This is Ryder Bard, otherwise known as Bard, clocking off. See you guys.